by giving thanks to one of the most important groups. Thanks to the parents, wives, husbands, and in many cases children of these graduates who have shared in their achievements in so many ways. We invite all of you to stand while we thank you. Please. All too well how the education of your children and your loved ones is a team, and we really appreciate your membership on the team. Now, it gives me great pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Congressman Eric Swalwell, who graduated in 2003 from the University of Maryland, College Park with a bachelor's degree in government and politics, and in 2016 from the University of Maryland Carey School of Law with a JD. Eric Swalwell was elected in 2012 to represent California's 15th Congressional District, which includes a large part of the eastern San Francisco Bay Area. He was just re-elected in November to his fourth term. A former Deputy District Attorney and City Councilman, Representative Swalwell is co-chair of the Democratic Steering and Policy Committee, serves on the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, where he is the incoming chairman of the CIA Subcommittee and serves on the Judiciary Committee. Congressman Swalwell founded and chairs the Futures Forum, a group of 28 young Democratic members of Congress focused on issues and opportunities for millennial Americans, including student loan debt and home ownership. In his first term, Congressman Swalwell co-founded the bipartisan United Solutions Caucus to bring new members together to advance common sense solutions and overcome the partisan divide. In his second term, Swalwell co-founded the bipartisan Sharing Economy Caucus to explore how this burgeoning new economic sector can benefit more Americans. We are proud to welcome him back. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Eric Swalwell.
Thank you to the students for not holding up the Diamondback during that introduction. That was our practice anytime we had a visiting speech. Maybe it's because the Diamondback is online now. But Dean Ball, faculty, students, parents, and friends, welcome and congratulations. The expressions of relief and surprise on the faces of many of the parents are familiar to me, even 15 years ago, of my own parents as I graduated in this arena. And the organizers of today's event, they asked me, they said, we want you to come and talk about your experience at the University of Maryland, what you went through. And so in the last 24 hours, I've tried to relive that and recapture that. So I was at Bentley's until 1:30 this morning. I woke up just after noon. I came here completely unprepared. I actually went to the engineering commencement and gave half my speech before they sent me over here. So some things always stay true. Congratulations to the graduates who are serving or who will be serving in the United States military. Thank you if you are one of our graduates who are going on to do that. And congratulations to any graduate who is the first person in your family to go to college. I can certainly relate to that. I was born to a dad who was a police officer, a mom who raised 4 boys, made dollhouses in our garage, baked wedding cakes in the kitchen, and ran a very large, unlicensed daycare facility. The statute of limitations is run, so I can say that. But their dream for me was simple, which was for me to be the first in our family to go to college. And the only person who wanted that dream to come true more than them was myself. I saw them chase that dream all over America. We moved from Iowa to Oregon, up and down California, lived in 11 different houses. I went to 9 different schools before graduating high school. They put me to work at age 9, delivering a newspaper, and carried different odd jobs along the way. And I saw them work hard because they believed in the promise of America. which is if you work hard, no matter who you are, where you come from, what you believe, you do better for yourself and you dream bigger for your kids. That's the promise of America. I was able to go to college on an athletic scholarship. I went to a high school where only a third of us went on to college. And at the time I was there weren't many investments in public education. It was a low income, low expectations place. And soccer was my path. I really didn't like soccer. I loved baseball. I got cut from the baseball team. I loved football. They really only wanted me to be a kicker because I was okay at soccer. I loved playing on the field at soccer. I really wasn't that good on the field either, so they put me as goalkeeper. But I was pretty good as a goalkeeper. So I'd put myself between the net and 11 other players and fearlessly take shots to my face, my body, my gut. And it inched me along to a soccer scholarship. As I got better and better, I played in a competing cities league because we didn't have a travel budget in my hometown of Dublin, California to travel. So I wore another city's jersey and learned that other cities called my town, where only a third of the kids went to college, no Fortune 500 companies, only fast food restaurants as commerce. My nickname to those kids was Scrublin. So I took their shots to the head, the face, and the gut. I just kept doing it because I believed if I worked as hard as my parents did, I could use that scholarship and go to college. And I made it. And when my parents were here celebrating me as yours are celebrating you, they were so proud. And I could talk about the work I did in College Park or on my local city council or as a prosecutor and the successes that I enjoyed along the way, but the truth is, I learned more from my losses. And I want to tell you that you're going to learn more from your losses too. This period of time, the 4 years that you've been in College Park, you've seen and suffered some loss, as Dean Ball referenced. When I was a graduate in 2003, our class had suffered some losses too. We had campus shootings, a tornado, a couple fraternity deaths, and of course, the tragedy of September 11th. Most people associate anyone in the class of 2003 with being around when the Terps became national champions, the Warren Dixon, Gary Williams years. But even that basketball team suffered a crushing loss the season before in the Final Four when they blew a 22-point lead against Duke to go on to the finals. And they learned more from that loss. So I want to tell you about a couple losses and the lessons I drew from my losses, and I hope you'll be able to do the same as you go on to do big things. My first loss was when I came back home after my first winter break playing soccer, Division I, traveling the country, thinking I'm a big shot, going back to my hometown and going Christmas shopping. It was about this time of the year. I went to the mall and a friend of mine was working there, and I knew he was working there, and he offered me a discount I absolutely was not entitled to. I mean, like 80% off. And I took it. And he'd been offering a lot of people this discount. And the store finally was onto him. And they arrested both of us. And you can imagine the look on my father's face, a police officer, someone who worked so hard to get his son to go off to college, dreamed that I could work in a courtroom because he had busted his back on the streets. And he told me, son, I don't know if you're going to be able to go to law school. They don't take convicts in law school. And I saw them dig really deep to get a lawyer, money that they didn't have, so that I could go on probation, avoid going to jail, and have a chance to climb out of that stupid, serious mistake. And for years, I would make excuses as to why I did it. And finally, got into law school and applied to work in the district attorney's office that had prosecuted me. And right at the last interview, I was filling out an employment form just in case they had hired me, and there was a box to check. And it said, "Have you ever been convicted of a crime?" And I had this moment where I thought, I could say yes, and that would be really bad because then they're going to look it up and want to know. Or I could say no, and maybe they won't find out, and I think I did well in the interview and sealed the job. I thought about my father and how crushed he was when I had screwed up. I checked yes. And I remember the U-turn that the hiring attorney made after he took the application from me, and 30 seconds later came back and looked at me and he said, "Are you freaking kidding me?" He said, "You were arrested and convicted?" He said, "We've got to talk about this." And so I had to give a full allocution of what I had done. Waited for months as to whether I got hired. And when I got the envelope in the mail telling me I did, I knew that I had owned that mistake, I was truthful about it, and I was given a second chance. And I sat in the same courtroom for years where I went on probation and where I was judged and worked to try and give every young person a second chance, and even saw that in our criminal justice system that there are racial inequalities, implicit biases that affect especially young black men who come from families that can't dig deep, that can't give them second chances, and put them in a deep hole that many times they can never climb out of. So the first lesson to you is own your mistakes and believe that every person is worthy of a second chance. At the end of my sophomore year, playing soccer, I got injured. I could never see beyond the next soccer game. I thought I'd play Division I soccer, go play in Europe, come back and coach, and that was it. And when I got injured, I was crushed. But it was a high school teacher who said, "Why don't you go to Capitol Hill? Why don't you see if helping people and going into public service is something that you'd be interested in?" So on a lark, not knowing if I was a Republican or a Democrat, not having any housing to speak of, I took an unpaid internship on Capitol Hill. A friend of a friend knew someone at number 9 Fraternity Row and said that there was a boarding opportunity there. So I'd commute from the metro down to Capitol Hill, and to make an unpaid internship work, I worked at a gym where I gave members of Congress gym towels from 5 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. in the morning, did the unpaid internship all day, where I saw that government could do good and help people and connect with constituents. And then I had a 5:30 p.m. evening shift at Tortilla Coast, where I served many of the same members of Congress really questionable Mexican food so they could go burn it off the next morning at that same gym. And I loved it. And I didn't want to go back to the soccer scholarship. And it was a University of Maryland alum who was working in the congressional office who said, "Eric, you love this job so much, why don't you transfer to Maryland? The world's not over. You don't have to play soccer anymore. Why don't you look at public service?" I called my parents. You can imagine giving up a full soccer and academic scholarship there to come as an out-of-state student here. My dad said, "Son, you're going to be a small fish in a big pond. You're a big fish in a small pond at Campbell University. But if you want to do it, you should do it." And the lesson I learned there was never close windows of opportunity. That setback could have crushed me. But I saw a new opportunity. I kept an open mind, and I found public service. Now, I still tried to hang on to what little athletic skills I had, and I was cut as a walk-on from the Maryland soccer team. I was cut as a walk-on from the Maryland football team. Congratulations, by the way, to the Maryland soccer team, national champions. The third lesson I want to offer you is be stubbornly impatient, but don't let that impatience get in the way of knowledge and experience. After I did that internship and served as the city council liaison here in College Park and went to law school, I moved back home to that town, Scrubland. And I wanted to come in hot and get on the city council right away. I was a know-it-all. And that same mentor who told me to apply to that Capitol Hill internship said, Eric, if you run for city council, you're going to lose. He was on the city council now himself. He said, why don't you apply for a commission in the city? And I said, great, fine, I'll be on the planning commission. He said, no. Planning commission is the highest, most premier commission. You should apply for the arts commission. And I said, what the hell do I know about art? And he said, exactly. So I joined the arts commission. And after 2 years in the arts commission, I told him, I said, Mr. Cibrani, I still called him by his teacher name. I said, Mr. Cibrani, I'm ready to run for city council. And he said, no, I think now you should apply to be on the planning commission. So I did 2 years on the arts commission, 2 years on the planning commission, and 2 years on the city council. And so many of you I know have worked in congressional offices, have worked at federal agencies as interns, and have acquired very important skills and want to do and are capable of doing and one day will do very big things. But I promise you, if I had just gone home and run for city council, two things would have happened. I would have lost, and I would have been so demoralized by that loss that I never would have run for office again. So I learned from that setback, not being immediately elected to city council, that the knowledge and experience of learning my town was important, but to still be stubbornly impatient to try and make change. And that town of Scrubland, by the way, the work that I and most importantly many others did, we finally built modern schools where 3/4 of the kids go to college today. We redeveloped it. Thank you. We redeveloped the town just as College Park is being redeveloped right now, where we have Fortune 500 companies. And we even have a damn Whole Foods, which is like the best sign that you've made it when you have a grocery store no one can afford to shop at. And they don't call us Scrubland anymore. So remember those 3 lessons. Learn from your losses. Own your mistakes. Believe in second chances. Never close windows of opportunity. And be impatient but not closed-minded that you're not acquiring new skills and experiences. Your generation has an opportunity to do very good things for the future of our country. We're about to have a government shutdown right now, and it's so maddening because I see you and people just like you across our country who are inventive and optimistic, and your potential, if unleashed, could allow us to go big, be bold, and do good. Don't believe otherwise. That's what you should be doing every single day. And finally, as you look at the deans and professors up here who helped you and the friends and family who are in the stands that believed in you, continue to seek mentors. Seek them your whole career. But remember that you have 2 hands. One hand to reach up and find as many mentors who can help you. But now you're in a position where you have to use the other hand to reach down and pull others in your family, in your community, in our country up along the way. Here with me today on my staff is a class of 2018 graduate working on his first job, who just recently served as the University of Maryland College Park Student Council Liaison, City Council Liaison, Chris Chioggia. And I've learned just as much from talking to Chris and working with Chris as I do with the mentors who helped me. You'll find fulfillment in the experiences that you share with others. I have big hopes for you, class of 2018. So again, learn from your losses, but go out, go big, be bold, do good, and go Terps. Congratulations.
pleasure to introduce a remarkable student, Ms. Sagan Kidane. Ms. Kidane is a graduating senior with a double major in sociology and criminology and criminal justice, and a minor in public leadership. This summer, Sagan completed both the Ronald E. McNair Achievement Program and the Vsauce Summer Research Initiative at the University of Maryland. She has worked as a research assistant in the Group Processes Lab, interned at the Department of Homeland Security, and completed the Federal Fellows Program during her academic career. Sagan has also been an active student leader in Vsauce, from serving as a college ambassador to being a representative for the Dean's Student Advisory Council for 2 years. In her spare time, she volunteers at a local correctional facility, tutoring incarcerated people seeking their GEDs. Sagan was originally born and raised just minutes away from this campus in Prince George's County after her parents immigrated from Eritrea. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Sagan Kidane.
Thank you, Dean Bob, for that introduction. Good afternoon, friends, family, faculty, staff, and my fellow graduates. My name is Sagan Kidane, and like many of you, I cannot believe this chapter in our lives is coming to an end. When we began this journey, many of us had no idea what to expect from our college experience. Honestly, I didn't even know what Vsauce was. But regardless of where we thought our journeys would take us, we all ended up in the same place, graduating together from the University of Maryland in the College of Behavioral and Social Sciences. So please, give yourselves a round of applause. During the process of choosing which college to attend, UMD was not one of my top choices. I spent my whole life down the street from this campus, so I dreamed of going somewhere far off for college. But that in-state tuition was calling my name. From the moment that I committed, I knew that I was going to have to make the most out of my situation. When freshman year began, I knew that I wanted to make my experience enjoyable. And for me, that would mean sometimes canceling class for myself every once in a while, or taking a nap instead of finishing an assignment. However, I had to learn the hard way that making the most out of my college experience is more than about having a good time. It's about learning from your failures. My first failure took the form of the class, American government. As enthralling as the inner workings of the American government are, I came to realize that the government and politics major was not for me. So there I was, 17 years old, just living 10 minutes down the street from my parents' house, and failing in my would-be major. But as my first semester came to a close, there was one thing that was still motivating me: my middle school dream of becoming a lawyer. I started off my second semester with a new lease on life. I switched into the criminology major and started to get really excited about the classes I was taking. And I wasn't just getting excited about my education. I was doing better in my classes, taking on student leadership positions in Vsauce, and I was even able to receive a job at a law firm. I thought I had done it. Made the most out of my situation and taken the appropriate steps towards a future career in law. But that's when it hit me. I did not want to be a lawyer. In fact, I didn't really know what I wanted to be. And this time, my failure didn't come from studying habits or picking the wrong major. This time, I failed to know myself and where my interests really lied. But that didn't stop me, because sometimes you need to get through failures to reach your successes. With my law school dreams in shambles, I thought to myself, well, how am I supposed to make the most out of this situation? In my last 2 years of undergrad, I decided to explore new interests by adding a double major in sociology and obtained a role on the Dean's Student Advisory Council. In sociology, I had the opportunity to be involved in cutting-edge research and produce 2 independent research projects. Taking advantage of these Vsauce-led programs is where I rediscovered my passions. This journey has been filled with hardships, challenges, and those times where we all questioned what we were doing and if we were going to make it. and I can say there were so many times. From switching majors to failed classes and struggles with finding my passion. I sometimes doubted if I would ever make it to this day. But like each and every one of you, I was not alone. With the help of the wonderful teachers, peers, and mentors I met in Vsauce, I found my way. I want to thank all of those who made it their mission to teach us, to guide us, and to ultimately make this day possible. Everyone in this room deserves to share in our celebration and our pride. I want to leave you all with one small piece of advice, which is you miss 100% of the opportunities you don't take. Although the school was not my top choice, it became the best choice. A choice I never would have experienced if I did not take the opportunity to apply here. Ultimately, the challenges and failures we endured led us to be the December graduates of 2018, and for that, I couldn't be more thankful. As we leave here today, I challenge you all to try something different and make the most out of that experience. Take a risk, be fearless, and as our motto infamously states, be the solution to the world's greatest challenges. Thank you, and congratulations again.